All right. So, how's everybody doing? Arbanaka here. Um, so yeah, right now I'm in Texas, and it's pretty good, man. Had a nice sleep. I'm like somewhere in the middle of nowhere, basically. All you could see, like I was driving for like a good hour, and all I was able to see is just like field and cows and fields and cows. So I'm like in the northern part of Texas. Um, but yeah, anyway, so I came across this Sirius had posted a video yesterday, and I thought it was interesting. I was supposed to make a response to it yesterday as well, but I got caught up doing some writing and couldn't really do any videos yesterday. So this is gonna be a quick one. Have to do I think I might do a live stream with her tonight, but don't quote me on that. So all right, but without further ado, check out her video.
I would like to pose a hypothetical, present two scenarios, and then ask you a question. But before I begin, I'd like to state a disclaimer. It is my personal belief that both sexes can and often are irresponsible in similar and varying degrees when it comes to sexual interaction as well as human reproduction. Now, let us move on to the hypotheticals. Scenario number one. In scenario number one, we have a 39-year-old woman. She has 5 biological children by 4 different men. She receives child support for only 2 of her children, and the child support comes from one dad. She has full custody of all 5 children. She refuses to have one father in his children's life. The father who pays the child support only sees his children on holidays and birthdays, and 2 fathers choose not to interact with their children at all. The mother sees her children every day. They live in poverty. Scenario number 2. In scenario number 2, we have a 39-year-old man. He has 5 biologically verified children by 4 separate women. He pays child support for only 2 of his children. He has 0 custody of any of his children. He refuses to interact with 3 children and only sees 2 children on holidays and birthdays. He also lives in poverty. I intentionally left out reasoning, context, and speculation out of both scenarios. I merely provided the bare minimum of information. Any other context that may be added to these scenarios is personal opinion. Now, the question I pose is, out of the 2 scenarios, who is more irresponsible?
People forget that
I would really
sex.
love to hear your opinion. I'd love to hear your answer and your reasoning. So I would truly appreciate it if you could leave a comment And in that comment, provide the answer to my question as well as your reasoning behind it.
Huh. All right. People forget that sex is a form of reproduction, not recreation. Yeah. Cool. Well, anyway, so I thought that video was quite interesting. Um, because when we go online, is we tend to simplify a subject that has a lot of layers in it. So then, so with this, you know, put it into that perspective, and now whichever you choose relies on display your bias, you know. And I'm looking at it like they're both irresponsible. They're both very irresponsible. And now looking at it from a societal perspective, you it's it is mostly frowned upon women to abandon their kids than it is for fathers to abandon their kids, right? And which is what makes it complex now, because you're looking at it that the irresponsibility from the woman part is that she had not learned any of her lessons from none of her baby daddies, right? So therefore, like, she keep going from pretty much, I guess, the same type of men, you know, her inability to choose properly. So, and also, if you're gonna be using sex as a recreation, then you need to be on birth control or some sort of birth control that would actually prevent any unwanted pregnancy and whatnot. However, once the kids are there, you got to do what you need to do. So when you're looking at the male as well, that looks pretty bad too. So you're not in your kid's life, and but society don't really look down on that. You know, it's like, I mean, it's very interesting. You know, it's let's if we need to take a look at how, let's say, single dads are made, right? Usually kind of goes like this. Or this is like, hyperbole, hypothetical. Let's say that, you are young men, and we are taught that the more body count you have on your list, the more of a valuable male that you are, right? That's why every insult when it comes to men, either men or women, usually goes like this: you can't get laid. So therefore, being having a sexual nature is highly praised amongst men, but highly down upon amongst women. So it is what it is. But now, let's say that as a young man growing up, right? You're in your early 20s, you just like, you swinging your dick left and right. And then, you're, of course, the old, the OGs looking at you, be like, all right, young man, be careful, you got to take it easy. And then you looking at them like, man, oh man, I ain't listening to you. You had your fun when you back in the days. Now it's my turn to have my fun, right? So then, you doing all the shit, the crazy shit that you want to do and stuff like that, right? And boom, you get a girl pregnant. So now you, well, this is the thing, right? Even before you get a girl pregnant, basically on your mind, all you keep saying like, man, listen, right? Yo, if I get a girl pregnant, yo, my kid's gonna be this. I'm gonna take care of my kid, blah blah blah. It's all the 9 yard, right? You talking all the shit, how how you will be there for your kid's life and all this shit. I will not do what my father did to me, because you know what? I'm the fucking man. All that shit. But because you are being irresponsible with who you sleep with, so you end up getting a girl pregnant, and the girl that you end up getting pregnant, 8 out of 10 wasn't the girl that you wanted to end up with in a long-term relationship. So it could have been like, let's say 3 month flings or 6 months fling or something like that, and the girl end up being pregnant. Some men run because they make a mistake by their condom break, and woman wants to keep it, and now he feel forced into fatherhood. Yeah, that is, part of that is true as well. So then now, so let's say the girl get pregnant, right? And then the girl that got pregnant wasn't the girl that you wanted. That wasn't the girl that you wanted to be your wife. And you also at that position to which, like, damn, I'm not ready to be a father yet. So now, what do you do? What do most men do? They bounce because they're not done having fun. They're not done living their best life, you know. And this is where all the excuses comes in. Like, well, she should have keep her legs closed. You hear that a lot on the MGTOW circle and manosphere circle. She should have get an abortion. Then she should have done that. Granted, there are some truth to the matter. And now, when a guy comes from just simply fucking around to now being forced into being responsible, that's it's gonna be like it's gonna be very hard, right? Most people would run, and but here the thing is, so you get one girl pregnant, and then like the scenario series give, right? Let's say a guy with 5 kids with four different girls, and then he only sees 2 of them during holidays and stuff like that. Is that responsible? It's not. It's not responsible at all. I mean, it's like some men, they do take care of their responsibility as far as financial responsibility, right? They provide for their kids, um, but not being present in their kid's life can have some psychological effect to it. Not having the bond can have some psychological effect to it, and then therefore, also when you don't get along with the mother of your child, also have a lot of psychological damage towards the kids as well. Because what tends to happen is the kid, for a lot of time, tends to see one side of the story. So even though they might not like their mother, right? But the mother's the only one that's there for them. I'll give you a perfect example, right? Look at Eminem. Eminem fucking hated his mom, right? Well, you know who he hated the most? His dad. Why? Because he wasn't there at all. So even though he had the chance to reconcile the differences between him and his mom, him and his dad, they never got along. To the point where even if after he passed away, he made a song and then he pretty much called his dad a cocksucker, and that if he ever go to heaven, he would actually ask for a pass to go to hell just to whoop his dad's ass, and dig in his grave to spit on his face. And that type of hatred is like that psychological damage is hard to repair that, you know? And what a lot of guys tend to do is when they're not there at the beginning in their kid's life, right? And once they grow up to be an adult, when the kids grow up to be an adult, and then now the dad now try to ease his way back into the kid's life. Like, well, you know what? The mom kept me away. Um, I couldn't do anything about it. And the law, you know how the law is and all this shit. Man, listen, even though that could be true, Can we deny the fact that a lot of these guys don't want to have to go through the trouble of having custody or even have custody of their children? Can we at least admit to that? So, if let's say that, you know, you might come across and say, well, you know what, the law's fucked up anyway, so what's the point of trying? So, you're not even going to try to get custody of your children. If the mother's that bad, wouldn't you want to fight to actually get your kids or at least to gain your kids' life? So they have some sort of balance to know that, hey, you know what? I might not like my mom's house, but when I chill with my dad, I'm good. This is my second home. At least that, you know? So it's when we're looking at the when we're looking at the overall dating aspect in the West, right? You have too many narcissistic people that try to play the victim. Too many narcissistic people trying to come across as they are the good guy, you know? And some of these folks, I kind of look at them sideways because at the end of the day, if all you can do is point the fingers and blame someone else for how your life turned out, then you're giving people power over you. The lack of accountability is what makes the dating scene how it is today. Yeah, exactly. They get angry. They feel lost. A lot of time they don't know how it is to be a man, to develop and to become responsible. And that's how the cycle continues. Because you have, you know, one kid, a boy, grew up without a father and doesn't have any good male role models. And the only person that he feels responsible to is his mother, because his mother kind of guilt tripped him into saying that, well, you know what, why are you going to leave just like your father did? Or, having all this responsibility as the man of the house when he's just a boy. And then using sex as a scapegoat, using sex as a way to, um, escape his own reality. He ended up doing the exact same thing that his father ended up doing because he now end up impregnating someone that he did not want long term. You know, and the same thing with the daughter as well. You know, she grew up in a household without a father, and then that she doesn't get along with her mother and stuff like that. She becomes a burden to her mother. And a lot of these young females, they end up looking for security in all the wrong places. They're looking for that father figure in all the wrong places. They're looking for love in all the wrong places because they never had anybody loving them unconditionally. So then when they get pregnant by some dude, they're looking at it like, well, you know what? At least my kid can love me unconditionally. So even though, they don't get along with the father and stuff like that, right? Or they chose not to get an abortion because they're craving that love that they never had. So they end up being single moms as well. So now the burden continue with the cycle continue to repeat itself. Single mom, single dad, over and over and over again. So these are the psychological part that we don't want to talk about when we're dealing with, let's say, single motherhood or single fatherhood. We tend to skip those reality because it doesn't match the message that we try to portray. You know, if you are angry, if you are bitter, you know, if you are angry male, so what you gonna say? Oh, single moms ain't shit, women ain't shit, and then all you can do is stick to the narrative that will provide the example as to why single mom are the worst thing on planet Earth. And if you're a bitter woman, then you're gonna provide all the example as to why single dad are the scum of the earth. But in reality, all you have is like two people that were lost to begin with, and then they ended up bringing a child into this world that is unloved, and that child gonna end up repeating the cycle if he doesn't break, if he doesn't find a way to face himself in the mirror and then take accountability for his life, take responsibility for his life. You know, life is very complicated, man. You think these kids having mentors helped help a good man show him what? You think these kids having mentors to help a good man to show him the way to let him go of the anger and pain and grow? Yeah, that helps. That only helps for that. It's like this, right? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear because there are mentors out there, man. There are people that can help these kids, but they're not ready yet. They're not ready to be helped yet, and it's something that they have to want to do. And a lot of time they go down a path that is so far. A lot of times they go down the path that is so deep into their own misery. It's hard for them to dig their way out of it. They become angry. They get into fight for the fucking reason. That's why when they go to school, they get into all these fights. They get suspended. They start selling drugs. They start doing a whole bunch of stuff. They develop a sense of narcissism. And then because from their environment, it's never their fault, right? That's how they've always been hearing. They always listen to the mother giving so many reasons as to why things didn't work out with their father. And from the father giving so many reasons as to why things didn't work out with the mother. But it's never in a logical standpoint, or it's never in a constructive criticism. It's always about from the anger stage. Your daddy ain't shit, and we go from the dad side. Oh, your mom's crazy. This bitch ain't shit. So all you could hear is the negativity about each other. And then now, when it comes down to becoming a father, you know, my baby mama crazy. She ain't shit. I don't want to deal with this bitch. Right? That's the words. These are the phrases that a lot of these kids end up repeating because it's easier to walk away. Right? So we can talk about the incentive when it comes to child support. Let's face it, a lot of women actually don't get child support. You know, because sometimes some women don't want nothing to do with the dad at all. We can talk about like she could have got an abortion. Yeah, could have. But then again, wouldn't it be the same guy that would actually criticize her as being a baby killer as well? You know? So there are blame to go from both sides. Same with the dude. We could say that, well, you know what? He needs to look out for who he sleeps with. That is true. A lot of guys just try to get a nut. And when they don't have the guidance to kind of teach them responsibility, then they go AWOL. They don't care until it's too late. To them, sex is like a drug. It's like a recreation. It's like an escape for them. So yeah, they will sleep around with the broken women because the broken women are the only one that want to deal with them. So they're gonna, you know, get their nut off wherever they can. Is it irresponsible? Fuck yeah, it's irresponsible. But then when the baby comes into the picture, so they never knew how to be responsible. What they do, they bounce. And all the vitriol, all the anger you hear, anger is actually at themselves. The anger is because of the failure of father, because they failed at being a father. They end up repeating the same cycle which they blame their dad for. And their dad blamed their dads for. So all the things you hear about, like, these bitches ain't shit, they're just angry at themselves. All the things you hear about, like, these niggas ain't shit, these bitches are angry at themselves. They're angry at themselves, but they cannot face the person in the mirror. So it's easier to pass the buck. It's easier to point the fingers at the other person that is not there. every one of them gotta hold themselves accountable to their actions. And it is very irresponsible not to have both parents in the kid's life. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out. I totally get that. You do have parents that are not together, but they still find a way to make things work out. They still find a way for both of them to be in their kids' lives, you know? But that takes maturity. That takes a high level of maturity. And if you can't be mature, wrap it up, man. Wear a fucking condom. Or for you a chick, just get on birth control. Because the more you have kids in an unbalanced life, then the more unbalanced society becomes. Dating in the West is fucked up, yes, but it ain't just start overnight. Everything that we do today makes a difference on how the world turns out the next day. So we may think that we have no responsibility towards the society which we live in, but that's not true. I want to complain about how bad women are, I can, or I can make sure that I raise my daughter to be a better woman. I can teach my daughter how to spot narcissistic men, how to spot liars, how to spot people that ain't no good. I can do that. And every parent provide that example for their child, for their children. Think of how better the world would be. Imagine a world where fathers actually, even though they might not get along with the mother, right? They try their best to get along, to at least have a good rapport with each other. And then they raise their kids to the best of their ability. They're a team together. Responsibility, accountability, all that stuff. Imagine how better the world would be. To which in each generation, you break the cycle a little bit. So this generation, it might be too late. You might not, um, you know, you might not end up being with the person that you wanted, or things didn't come out all right. That might happen. But if you try your best to at least break some of that cycle, to try your best to be part of it. Okay. Look at Omarion, right? Because a lot of guys want to talk about how these baby mama this baby mama that. Look, Omarion found a way to be in his kid's life, didn't he? It wasn't just about paying out the child support. Found a way to be in his kid's life, custody of his kids. There are a lot of guys who actually gain custody of their kids. I mean, Kevin Federline, supposed to be a deadbeat dad, right? But he got custody of his kids. There's a lot of men that got custody of their kids. It's a bit harder, but yeah, they end up getting custody of their kids. They fought for it very hard to be in their kids' life. Am I gonna fault these guys? No. I don't understand how people don't think and just pop up kids. Hold up. I don't understand how people don't think and just pop up kids for multiple people and multiple. Yeah, that is the lack of responsibility, you know. And to them, it becomes the norm. It becomes the norm to live that drama life, you know. And it's like stress. And when you're looking at the two, though, right? Like when you see these guys that have multiple, baby mamas, and they're not in their kid's life, their stress level makes it very hard for them to be a productive member of society. You know, so therefore, it's like if you can't find peace within, right? If you're always struggling, there always that turmoil going on in your head, right? You have like 4 or 5 angry women at you. Dude, it is not fun, man. You know? That's why, like, you know what? Like, at the beginning of my stage, I was like, trying to be up there. And I realized I'm like, yo, it's too much headache, man. It's best to just be honest with them broads. Hey, listen, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. You in, you out. Good. But having to try to psychologically manipulate these broads because in a way that's how you feel like a man when you have like women fall in love with you. It's not enough that, they just fuck you and then they just move on, right? 'Cause some women will use dude as just a sex, just for sex. Just like some men use women just for sex. But there's a lot of guys, especially the players, right? They try to make these women fall in love with them or actually have a certain emotional attachment to them because that's how they feel validated. It's not enough for the chick to just see you and be like, you know what? I'm gonna use you as a dildo, right? It's not enough. It's much more enticing when the female fall in love with them. But with that comes kid. Because a lot of these bros, they're looking at it like, well, you know what? I like this guy. Which one of the ways I can keep him? I'm gonna get his baby, right? So then now you have like 1, 2, 3 female doing that. And they all damaged it. A lot of these guys are just all fucking, and sex is used as a recreation because they need to find a way to escape that pain, to try to fill that void inside them. And can't be filled. You cannot reach the bottom of the pit, regardless how many women you screwed, or regardless if you're a chick, regardless how many men you screwed. Until you're able to face the person in the mirror, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many bitches you get, how many places you go to, blah blah blah. It does not matter. You have to be able to face your own demon. And it will be great once you actually find someone that can help you face your demons with you as well. But all that requires a certain level of vulnerability. All that requires a certain level of discernment. All that requires a certain level of knowing yourself. Because if you don't know who you are, then you're not gonna know who you're dealing with. Exactly. There has to be a better example of breaking the cycle. But anyway, so yeah, um, that was my thought. This was my response to Sirius. Out of the two examples that she gave, who was the most irresponsible? Both of them were. And the thing is, the more people on YouTube keep simplifying these complex issues, then the more it shows in their lack of awareness, their lack of wisdom, because they're not looking to solve any problem. They're not looking to understanding the core issues. They're just looking for someone to point the finger at. But anyway, it's our Banaka. So thanks, Louis, for coming through. Kim, thank you guys for coming through. So share, like, comment, and subscribe. See y'all later. Peace.